So, how was your guys' first game?
Long, but
It'll be faster now that we know how to play the game. It'll be quicker. Although, with having said that, we skipped the third part of the deck building stage every time. Because you get through 14 minutes. So you have the first 7 minutes with the first part of the metagame, and the second 7 minutes with the second part of the metagame. And by then, you've already got it figured out as far as what you're going to do with the deck.
If we just revealed these right at the beginning, and then just did straight deck building until we're all out of money and stuff like that, it would probably work just as fine. Like,
yeah,
we didn't really come across a situation where not selling cards would have helped anyone.
Yeah, we had a few minutes left over from the second 7 minutes every time. And so at that point, it's like, well, we're not going to do the additional 6 minutes if we're just sitting around.
You only have
doing
so
nothing.
much money, and you only want so many cards.
Right.
Not to mention, I really didn't use the 7 or the 9. Like, I only used the 5 just because I had the deck packs to let me use it enough, as long as I never played it. But I tried playing, like I said, some of these, and they didn't really seem to do all much. I just used it as a sacrifice to get points.
Yeah, I think I tossed most of the 7s that I pulled. I pulled 1 or 2 9s that I think I might have kept, but most of them did just kind of end up getting cycled for something else.
My 7s and 9s, the first one I used was the green 7, the Crown Princess, Pyoko. And she was really helpful because in my, first round I was playing all greens. And she says gain, rank points equal to the combined stars of all... Oh, no, it was all citizen cards. I just had a lot of citizen cards, so it wasn't for green. I'm mistaken what that card was, but it was helpful because I had all citizens.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you have to get early and plan around, I think.
Well, I think she did have the right strategy with hoarding all the cards and not selling as much. If she'd even just sold like 3 or 4 just each time, but like hoarding at the end meant when it came down for that last round where the points were a huge difference between 42 and 30, like that alone kind of sealed the game because it was very close up until that point. And then just winning the last round alone was enough to win the entire thing.
You win a lot of points in that third round, and the first 2 rounds are almost inconsequential because Cat got first in the second round.
Yeah.
But if you looked at the end of the first round and then going into the third round after the second round, it looked like Cat and Jeremy were pretty neck and neck. But the third round, you just get so many points for getting first place that it almost makes the rest of the game irrelevant.
As long as you're not like way behind and doing marginally well in the third round, is like I can catch up and even win behind that.
Well, you think about collections also are very important as well.
Collections are the only reason that I was close.
And my collection managed to keep up with her only because I did it twice. I had 20 points for my collection to her 21 from that one round. So that again was, we kind of canceled each other out and made it inconsequential.
I feel like collections I could do better, but now that I sort of know what cards are in the game and I know sort of what strategies to do, I didn't want to get rid of any cards at first. So I'm like, what if I need this later? What if I need it? So I didn't want to get rid of any of them. But I think doing collections would be helpful.
Like knowing the cards, there's so many cards in the game too. I mean, if you look at the deck right now, I know you can see it, but it's like that's basically just half of the deck you even see, and then back here in the
there are more packs, a lot of them,
and
this is the rest of the cards, which is like about like half of the cards you can just trade out in there.
How many are you supposed to use in a deck? Are you supposed to use a certain amount?
Yeah, you have to use about I think 5.
It's 5 of the core kind, 4 of the...
then 3 of the master sets.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still a lot of cards, even if you've set
That's
it
a
up
lot
properly.
of replay value.
Oh my gosh,
it is. Yeah,
this cat is awesome.
You can play it for a very long time and not see the same
and
card
I think
twice.
you can still have a very different game.
Which, although that did pose a problem, because Jeremy had, and I saw a few cards where it was like, name a card, and if the person has that, they have to discard. But there are so many cards that, like, what are you going to name?
This one literally says, name a card. Each player must discard all copies of that card, but...
I don't think that I had a card that anyone else had, except
and I wouldn't know.
when he got one of the starter cards from my set.
Yeah.
Well, the way I could see it is that maybe you can actually name cards from people you see buy from the aftermarket, or even cards they revealed during their turn.
Yeah, I did a lot of cards that revealed my cards to get points. So if I would have revealed those, you would have used it then, and then used it to discard one of those cards that I had revealed.
Yes and no, because we don't know what those cards do necessarily. That's part of it.
There's
Because you don't reveal. It doesn't reveal long enough for us to read the cards.
You just say reveal it. It's a 7.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
And that's all
You guys are able to look at it if she reveals it. So.
Yeah, but we weren't
still.
thinking about it.
Yeah, just worrying about your own cards. So as the goal of the game was to like kind of emphasize like this simulation of a TCG. How well do you think this game did it?
I mean, it definitely felt like a booster draft. There was very much a booster draft, but tedious, and not quite the same as booster draft, because I mean you start off with a set of cards, and with this one it kind of just felt like you could just get as many cards as you wanted, which is fair for this game, but very different from standard trading card games where you start with X amount of cards and you take one and you pass them until all the cards are out. And maybe that would help, maybe if there were like a smaller set amount of cards to start with outside of just like the starter packs, but I don't know.
Don't think I did any trading card games where there was drafting and acquiring the cards, because I only played Pokemon and like Yu-Gi-Oh, and I don't think you did that in that.
No, there really weren't. Booster drafts are fairly common with Magic the Gathering, more than the other games. But.
Yeah.
As I said, hassle the Dorkening.
But yeah, it's one of those things where it's a very different sort of setup, and you have to keep in mind two very different sets of strategies, because you've got the building the deck part of the strategy, and also the getting victory points part of the strategy. And so you've got playing this card game, but also winning this other thing, and keeping them both in your mind at the same time is not an easy task.
Well, yeah, I think from what I did, I didn't get a chance to do very many tournaments or anything. I played mostly against friends, because when I lived back in Tucson, all the card playing places were on the other side of town, so I didn't get to do any of that. But it felt like that, like the gathering the cards to like make your deck, and then like playing against the other people, like playing your cards. It emulated the feel of that very well.
Yeah, that's
Problem
true.
is that even I really couldn't attack you as much as I would have wanted, or even as efficiently as I would have wanted, because half the time I took a swing at you and I just punch him half the time, or even with clashing. Once we get into the second round and we've seen a lot more cards and you have the chance to build up, clashing becomes a really, really swing or miss, because half the time all you have is like 5 or higher, and everyone has 5 or higher, 6 or higher, and so it gets to be very, very even. And clashing doesn't seem to be worth it, because of the cards that allow you to clash half the time are like 2s, 3s, 4s, and you don't want to play them.
You don't encounter a whole lot that you can use to stop other players either. I didn't feel like I was watching both of you strategize and going, I don't have any card that I could use to prevent this.
I agree with that. There wasn't things that we could do to
it feels
get rid of stuff.
It's a bit, despair, because you're sitting there going, I know exactly what you're planning, and I could stop it if I just had a card that had any ability. Because, I mean, you've got, like, the deck box and the accessories, and you can't do anything to stop those. They're just there. And I get to some extent, like, obviously, like, cards where it's like you can include 3 additional singles. It wouldn't do anyone any good to cancel that out, because, like, you can't discard cards once you're in the middle of a round. But, like, your box that lets you skip a turn, it would have been great to have a card to prevent that. But there was nothing like that in sight. So
love that thing.
You played that incorrectly.
Well, he played it correctly the other 2 rounds.
Okay,
in fairness.
Try to force you guys to play.
I think one of the things that you kind of didn't do in the game was more the trading, especially the friendship cards. Do you think that's because either there's not a great amount of players to interact with, or is that you're just busy working?
I don't really want to help them.
I don't know what people. I didn't know what people had. I didn't know what my options were for in the game, what I was looking for. If I knew what cards I was looking for, I feel like it would have been like, hey guys, do you have this card? And it would have been better. But once again, we're not familiar enough with the cards to know which cards
Yeah, but if I had something that you wanted, I still probably wouldn't have traded with you.
Yeah, that's because you're a jerk.
But
other people might do that.
You were already winning enough that I didn't need to trade with anything.
The other thing about that is, I mean, yes, to Kat's point, we don't know the cards well enough to trade them. But at least in my own personal opinion, looking at the cards in my hands, I couldn't tell you what the perceived value of them was. So I couldn't be like, hey, this card's worth something, you should trade me something for it, because I don't know what it's worth. And I could talk it up all I like, but, like, if no one wants it, then I just have these cards that I don't know how to use, and it's faster to just sell them. And you don't have to haggle with people. You don't get victory points that way, but they wouldn't have given us victory. Like, I don't think anyone at this table would have given anyone else at this table victory points.
Nope.
Especially not for a single
selling
card.
helped me just because I had all the cards that let me essentially take back everything I'd stolen for points.
That was ridiculous.
I had lots of...
The problem is that it was like 20 high, 25, 20 high, but I had nothing at the end game. So, like, if I didn't get 100 points in that very first track, I had nothing else at the end to raise it up, which was where I started to struggle. Like, these 3 or 4 cards would give me 70 points, but after that I was shit out of luck. I didn't know what else to do.
Okay, so anyway, before we actually even played this playthrough, we did a practice round, and we actually added the pre-tournament with that. So how did it make you feel about playing the pre-tournament first? Do you think it was necessary, or do you think it was helpful?
I think it was helpful.
It was very helpful as far as learning.
There's a lot more balance too.
You didn't really there was no deck building. You skipped that part for the pre-release. You literally just play with the base set. So it's very good for learning how to play the tournament portion of the game, but I feel like nothing could really prepare you for the deck building portion of the game. So
Not until you've played it like 3 or 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
and
and I mean, and even then, like I'm still staring at these cards, going, if I had to buy one, I would pick one at random because I don't know what I'm gonna find.
Yeah.
And what do you guys think of the art? Now the art is just done by one guy. I believe just one guy.
I love the art.
That's a lot of work for one person.
I mean, I love the art. I love the different little names they came up for.
Yeah.
The names are awesome.
I love me some
very
Echoes.
very creative
We got
references.
Obari as hell. I love that.
Yeah, the references and the things they're parroting are pretty spot on. Makes you laugh every time you think them.
Yes.
I like there's the thing I would complain about is that most of the girls are like super busty. Like the only person I saw on the deck who wasn't was Showena.
You got the magical girl here.
Yeah, I guess, but it was like 2.
Well, I mean, there was also that harpy though. There's a harpy in this deck. I forget what the card
yeah,
name is, and it's literally just like a tiny head, really huge breasts, and then chicken legs.
Yeah, I get that that's anime style, but it would be nice to see something different. Like I get that it's a certain style, and the artwork is drawn very well. It's just I would have liked to see something variant on that and seen.
Far less boob.
Far less objectification. Yeah, far less objectification of the
I'd like
women
a few more
characters.
player characters
That
to
too.
work
Yeah.
with because I use my deck building one all the time, but I only use half of it, the first part where I get $15 extra. I never paid any money at the end. And my tournament one is I can basically spend money to add +1 tokens, but I never had any money left over. So there was no point in me having that tournament power.
The problem I had is I was using my actions on these cards because these cards have useful things. And like this would get you points, but it's like if I can get 7 points with this and I can get 20 points with that, why would I use this?
Yeah.
So I didn't really use my.
I think Hat was the only one who used both.
I used both of mine and I liked them a lot.
And it seemed to help a lot.
Yeah, it helped a lot. Mine, in the deck building, I could add 2 additional singles into my deck, and I could take 1 card from the aftermarket for free. And on the other side, it gave me an extra slot to put stuff in, and if I paid $2,
the extra slot.
if I paid $2, I could discard a clash card and get another one up to twice.
Like that thing is ridiculous.
It's a little overpowered.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd have taken
Like it worked in your favor, but like very overpowered.
like, or they need to split that up into 2 separate cards or something.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap this up. So thank you for watching our first playthrough. Hopefully for the beginning of many more. So go ahead and subscribe, like, and share. Please like and share and subscribe. That really would really help us out.
Please like us.
Follow us on Twitter, support us on Patreon, vote us up on Board Game Links, and you can also find us on Board Game Geeks. So, and remember, keep on stacking games.